you doing? Welcome to the month of March. I pray that all of us will march into our greatness this new month. You know, the peculiar thing about this time is that the Muslims, the Christians are all fasting at the same time. Isn't God just great? So, irrespective of the religion that you believe in, I pray that you get all that you're asking for in this season. Ensure that you fast when everybody else is fasting. This is the time that food gets most tempting. But anyway, that's not why we are here. We're here this evening, as always, every Monday evening to discuss about the challenges of migrants in the diaspora. And the question remains, should I jabada? Tonight, I bring you a very intriguing story. In fact, this evening's story is even it's a peculiar one. So there's this young lady, let's call her X. You know, X and her husband have been married for a while before Nigeria, about 5 years. You know, they've been trying to, better themselves, trying to get pregnant, trying to get a good job, all the things that young couples try to get when they just immediately after getting married. And luckily, the wife was able to get a work sponsorship in the UK. So, of course, they were elated, put all their funds together. She came to the UK first, and then her husband joined her about 6 months later. All the while they were apart, they were doing the lovey-doveys over the phone, late night calls, late night video calls, and all of that. So, both of them were so happy when they eventually got together. So by the time the husband came, let's call him Y. By the time Y came, X had already set up, in 6 months, she had got a place, she was working, she was a main applicant, he was her dependent, so he came to join her. She had a nice place close to the office, ensure that it was a place fit for him to come and settle into. So when he came, how many of us remember how it was the first few months? Please put it in the comment section. I remember when we just came around, trying to get accommodation and all of that, but that's old gist now. So she went through all the trouble of ensuring that the place was comfortable for them. So she got a nice place. He came, she went to pick him up at the airport, brought him home. There was already hot food and all of that. But you know how it is in the UK. As he got home, finished eating his nice meal, she hopped on a train and went to work because she had to be on night shift that night. And that was how it was. They got into the hustle and bustle of the UK, started to try to get him a job, especially with him being the she was the main applicant. So with him being the dependent, he had opportunities to get big, jobs with more flexible hours and all of that, and he could work longer hours. So their prayer had always been that, with him coming on board, life will be easier for them. She won't have to pick all the bills all by herself. And he did. It took some time for him to. He put in a lot of applications, but he just wasn't getting a job. So now, for the first 6 months that she was living alone in the UK, she was getting money together and all of that. And after her husband joined her, they ensured that there'll be a lot of savings and financial, things coming together. So what did she do? She started, both of them, of course, agreed that they should start making plans for back home in Africa where they're from. So they started to save money, majorly dropped by her because she was the one working. It wasn't that Y wasn't looking for a job, it was just that he wasn't getting any. He was putting in his best, putting in all the applications and unfortunately, getting the rejection letters. So eventually, he continued to put in his applications. She continued to put her money together, and they were sending money back home because they wanted to keep their options open. On the one hand, maybe he would get a job in the UK, or maybe they would have to return to Nigeria or whatever. They just needed to make a good opportunity of their stay in the UK. And she was doing back-to-back shifts and all of that. And that was how it went on for a year. Of course, they had amassed enough money for them to start building a home in Nigeria. Now, because X was doing all the work, she entrusted all the financial decisions and all of that to Y. He was responsible for ensuring that whatever they were building back home was well put together and protected. So he was showing her pictures of the land agreements, the documentation, everything. They started to build a house. He was sending her pictures. She was seeing all of that. Those things made all the shifts that she was having, it made them worth it. You understand? And then gradually, cracks began to open in their relationship. Unfortunately, first of all, it was those calls in the middle of the night. Then it was all the strange numbers on his phone that he couldn't explain where they were from. And then it was all this, apart from the late night calls, it was deleted text messages and all of that. Now, because they had been married for 5 years, well, now 6 years, if you count all the time, they both trusted each other. And she didn't want to begin to not trust him. And then they started to have fights. Just checking his phone, all the things were not adding up. What's going on and all of that. Eventually, she found out that he had a woman back home in Africa. A woman who was pregnant for him when he left Africa. And now him and that other lady had a kid. Remember, X and Y do not have a kid, but X and, let's call this other person B, X and B have a kid back in Africa. And not only that, did you know that all the plans they have been making, financial planning and all of that, were purchased in the name of X, of Y and B. So that man was making all the financial planning with the money that X was recouping from her work, was using it to build a house or build a home back home in Africa for him and his new found love. Of course, the day X found out about it, she went absolutely angry, upset. They had a mega fight, called in the police, and it got really messy. Along the line, they were trying to patch things up. It didn't work. Trying to patch it up, it didn't work. They got into other fights. Things were just escalating. And then one day, Y just moved out of the house and moved back to Africa. He had money saved up from all the work that X was doing back in Africa with his new boo, and X is now stranded in the United Kingdom. She has lost her job because of the domestic violence allegation that was raised against her. She's trying to file. She's been, whatever little money she's got and money that friends have raised for her, she's giving it to lawyers. They're trying to help her to appeal, she can't leave the UK because if she leaves, there's nothing back home in Africa for her. But really, there's nothing left here for her. She doesn't have a place to stay. She can't afford the basic needs of life. Her marriage is gone. Everything that she's had is gone. What should she do? So the question is, should she jakbada? Now, for the viewers that don't understand what jakbada means, it means, should she return to Africa or should she stay back here in the United Kingdom in hopes that something would come up, that there'll be a solution to her problem? We welcome your comments in the comment section. Hi, hello everyone. I see you online, Joseph, and Colson. Thank you very much for signing up, for logging in. It's really nice to have you here. Please put in your comments. Let her learn what to do. She's going to be reading later in the day to understand what to do. Are there any provisions by the government to help people who have found themselves in that kind of situation? Can she file for asylum? What would happen to the domestic violence allegation? How can she get all her money back? Is that a fraud? People have told her that because the money was given to her husband and they are in a marriage, they're not divorced yet, the money still belongs to both of them. Everything that was made in a marriage belongs to both parties. What exactly should she do? Please put your questions in the comment section. She'll be reading. Thank you very much. It's been nice having this short while with you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Once again, welcome to March into Progress. Love from here. Bye.